All of you know very well about this because nowadays everybody taking this vaccines regarding corona. So which type of immunity is that? It is a
Acquired.
is this active immunity or passive immunity? It's an active immunity. I'll tell you. So first let us go one by one. So under this topic you have to learn about the innate immunity, acquired or adaptive immunity, and is there any bridges between innate or acquired immunity and local or mucosal immunity and herd immunity, adaptive immunity, and what are the cells involved in this innate and acquired immunity. Okay, and first of all, what is immunity? It's a Latin word. Its meaning is freedom from the disease. So this can be defined as resistance offered by the host against microorganisms or any foreign substance. So broadly, these are classified into two types. One is innate immunity and acquired immunity. This acquired immunity is also called as adaptive immunity. And innate immunity, all of you know, this will be present right from the birth, and acquired during the process of the life. It can be acquired again as the microorganisms. So what are the differences between innate immunity and acquired immunity? It is innate immunity. It's a resistance to the infection that individual having from the birth. And this response usually occurs in minutes. There is no required time for this, and prior exposure to the antigen is not at all required, and diversity is very limited, and it acts through the restricted set of reactions. Okay, and there is no immunological memory response for this. Okay, and this will be present. Immunological memory response will be present in acquired or adaptive immunity. And the response to the microbial antigens that are not specific to some microbes and rather than shared by many microbes called microbes associated molecular patterns. So simply you can call MAMS, M-A-M-P, okay, MAMS. And host cell receptors are non-specific. For example, toll-like receptors, this act through the innate immunity response. And I need to hide this one. Okay. And next, acquired or adaptive immunity. Coming to this, resistance to the infection that an individual acquires during this lifetime, and this for this immune response, it acquires some time that will be in the days, and this acquired immunity develops only after antigenic exposure. Now you have taken the vaccine, so after 2 to 3 weeks, you can get some immunity against corona. So this is a acquired immunity, and there will be more varied responses, and those are specialized responses, and immunological memory response usually present, and it responds to specific microbial antigen. See, when you have taken the BCG vaccine for MTB, so these won't act against coronavirus. Am I right? So that is why it is very specific to special microbial antigens. And host cell receptors are specific. And example for this toll-like receptors and B cell immunoglobulin receptors. And these are the some other components of innate immunity. Here you can see anatomical barriers. So here skin and mucosa acts the anatomical barriers, and physiological barriers like body temperature, and phagocytes which act as a phagocytes. So what are those? Neutrophils, macrophages, and monocytes, and other lymphocytes like natural killer cells, And other classes of lymphocytes like gamma natural killer cells and B1 cells also act as a innate immunity response. And other thing, mast cells, dendritic cells, and other all these act through complement pathways. Those are alternate pathway and mannose binding pathways. And there will be fever and inflammatory responses will be there. And cytokines, TNF alpha and interleukins and interferon alpha and gamma, tumor necrosis factor. All of them are the parts of the innate immunity and acute phase reactant proteins. Simply you can go APR. And coming to this acquired immunity, components of these very simple. Two types of cells will be there, that is T cell and B cells. Both of them act through the classical complement pathway. Here you can see the antigen presenting cells and cytokines will be IL-2, IL-4, that is interleukin 2, 4, 5 and interferon gamma will be there. So here, there are two types of classifications based on that. One is active and passive immunity will be there, and artificial and natural immunity will be there. I'll tell you later what are those. First, coming to this innate immunity, I told you this is the inborn resistance. This will be present right from the birth, and due to this can be from the either genetic or constitutional makeup. Okay, so these are the features of the innate immunity. One is it acts in the minutes. Okay, so prior exposure of antigen is not at all required, and the diversity is very limited and non-specific, and there is no memory for this innate immunity. And what are the mechanisms in this? Okay, so first thing, attachment with the antigen. So you have to know this receptor interaction. Following exposure to the microorganisms, several mediators of innate immunity, what I told you, tumor necrosis factor or interleukins, interferon gamma, all of them will be recruited to the site of the infection. So first step here is the attachment. So this involves in binding of the surface molecule of the microorganism to the receptor on the innate immunity cells. Okay, first step is attachment. So here you have to know the, that is a MAMS, what I told you. Microbes associated molecular patterns. These are the repeated patterns of conserved molecules. These are the most common microbe surfaces. Example for this is peptidoglycan in the bacteria and lipopolysaccharides, teichoic acid in the gram-positive organisms, sometimes lipoproteins, which are all present on the bacterial surface. They act as a MAMS, microbes associated molecular patterns. Another one, PRR, pattern recognition receptor. Now there is something is required to attachment. Am I right? So here molecules which are present on the surface of the host cell, for example phagocytes, that recognize the MAPs. And these are the generally conserved regions and usually encoded by the germline genes. Example for this is toll-like receptors. These are the classical example of pattern recognition receptor, PRR. Okay, so this is the main receptor for inducing the innate immunity. And after attachment, there will be a signal production following the binding of TLR and MAMS. Okay, so these signals activates the transcription factors. So this stimulates the expression of cytokines and enzymes. Usually these will be involved in antimicrobial activities of innate immunity cells. I told you these are the components of innate immunity. One is anatomical and physiological barriers like skin and mucosa and phagocytes. In phagocytes, you can see what are the cells? Neutrophils. Okay, mainly neutrophils and phagocytes. and natural killer cells and other classes of lymphocytes and mast cells, dendritic cells, all of them acts through the complement pathway. Here you can see the alternate and mannose binding pathways and inflammatory response and normal resident flora like commensals. Okay, so all of them protects or provides the innate immunity response and cytokines and APRs. These are also helpful for the innate immunity. Let us see one by one. And here anatomical and physiological barriers. Here first thing skin. It's a mechanically prevents the entry of microorganisms. And it produces the sebum that also contains the antimicrobial activity and it kills the microbes by intraepithelial lymphocytes. Coming to this mucosal barrier, in mucosa, it prevents the entry of microbes mechanically and it also produces the mucose. This also traps the microbes so that it can prevent the entry of microbes. Another one, cilia. So whenever whatever enters into the respiratory tract, definitely because of this cilia, this lower respiratory tract propels the microbes to the outside. Another one, normal flora, intestinal and respiratory mucosal. These are lined by normal flora so that there is no place for attachment of pathogenic bacteria to the human surface cells. Another one, physiological barrier will be there. So temperature. This normal body temperature definitely inhibits the growth of some microbes so that there is a prevention regarding this. And other one, lower pH. Gastric acidity inhibits the most of the microbes. And other one, secretory products of the mucosa. One is saliva, tears, gastric juice, and sperm. Uh, and other one, lactoferrin. All of them prevents the microbes entry. And second one is phagocytes. In this phagocytes, neutrophils, macrophages. This includes the monocytes. These are the main components of innate immunity. And whenever there is a entry of microbe, whenever there is microbe entry, definitely there will be phagocytes recruitment. After that, it involves three sequential steps will be there. So first thing, engulfment of these microbes, okay, and subsequently it confirm definitely after entry, it is called as phagosome, okay, phagosome. After that, it fuses with the lysosome and then it is called as phagolysosome. So in this phagolysosome, because of these enzymes which are present in the lysosome, that will kill the microbial microbes. Another one, NK cell, natural killer cells. These are the class of lymphocytes that will kill the infected cells and tumor cells. Okay. And these are the very rare classes of the lymphocytes. Just remember these names, natural killer T cells and B1 cells, marginal zone B cells, and gamma theta T cells. Okay, just remember these names. Another one, most important one is mast cells. So usually this will be present in the respiratory and other mucosal lines. And here these will be activated by microbial products binding to the toll-like receptor or IgE antibody dependent mechanism. These release abundant cytoplasmic granules which are rich in histamine, prostaglandins, cytokines that initiate the inflammation and proteolytic enzymes that can kill the bacteria. And in this picture, all of you say after seeing this picture, it's a dendritic cells. Okay, this responds to the microbes by producing the numerous cytokines which initiates the inflammation. So this serves as a vehicle in transporting the antigen from the skin and mucosa side to the lymph nodes. where they present the antigen to the T cells. Definitely it bridges between innate and acquired immunity. Another one, complement pathway. Here alternate and mannose binding pathways are important step for the innate immunity. Here you can see alternate complement pathway always activated in response to the bacterial endotoxin, and whereas mannose binding pathway will be activated by exposing to the mannose carbohydrate residue on bacterial surface. Another one, biological function will be there after lysis of target microbes. After lysis of target microbes, there will be stimulation of inflammation. So this stimulate the acquired immunity, and this complements or another bridge between the innate and acquired immunity. So all of you know what is inflammation. It is defined as biological response of vascular tissues to harmful stimuli such as microorganisms or other foreign substances. So after inflammation, there will be a vasodilatation. So this helps in release of vasoactive substances from damaged tissues. And there will be a leakage of plasma proteins through blood vessels. And here there will be a recruitment of phagocytes to the site of the inflammation, and this phagocytes undergoes the follow step, and all of these steps will help in repair of the damaged tissue. One is margination and rolling out of endothelium, extravasation, and chemotactic migration to the inflammation site. And here there will be an engulfment of microbes and dead material by the phagocytes. After that, there will be a lysis of microbes, and inflammation is not always protective, because sometimes if it is exaggerated, this will be called as hypersensitivity reactions. And coming to this other component of innate immunity, that is a normal resident flora. So first thing, it lines all the mucosal lining, that is intestinal, respiratory, gastrointestinal tract. So it provides some antimicrobial activity for all these mucosal linings. And also it competes with pathogens for the nutrition and produces antibacterial substance. Okay, and coming to the cytokines, in response to the microbial antigens, dendritic or macrophages and other cells, all these cells will secrete the several cytokines. So this mediates the inflammatory reaction. Those are tumor necrosis factor, interleukins, and interferons, and transforming growth factor beta. Okay, all of you remember this. And one more thing, acute phase reactant proteins, that is APRs. So all of them are proteins usually synthesized by liver, and their synthesis may be increased or decreased in case of infection or inflammatory condition. So this can be synthesized by other cells also. Those are endothelial cells, fibroblasts, and monocytes, adipocytes. Okay, but mainly it is synthesized by liver, and part of them, part of other cells like endothelial, fibroblast, and monocytes and adipocytes will secrete. And coming to this, when it is raised, APR, when it is raised, okay, so if it is raised, definitely CRP will be there, and that is C-reactive protein, and complement proteins, that is C1 to C9 and factor B, D, properdin, all these involved in this, and coagulation protein, van Willebrand factor and fibrinogen factor. And other one, proteinase inhibitor, that is alpha-1 antitrypsin and alpha-1 acid glycoprotein. All these are positive APRs. And metal binding proteins, that is ceruloplasmin. So negative APRs means these are the proteins. Usually decreased production will be there during the inflammation process and creates a negative feedback that stimulates the liver to produce more APR. Example, albumin and transferrin and T-thrombin. All these three will be decreased in case of acute inflammation. Another one, what is the role of APR? It has various antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory activities, and metal binding proteins can chelate the various metals like iron, copper, and so making them unavailable to the bacteria. And so all of you have to know about the CRP. Nowadays it is more important, CRP. So see, this CRP belongs to the beta globulin family, and CRP, why it is named? It precipitates the C carbohydrate antigen, which is a polysaccharide of pneumococcus. And this is not an antibody, okay? And it is non-specific. In case of inflammation or infection, definitely this CRP will be raised. And this is the most commonest marker in case of acute inflammation, usually used in diagnostic laboratories. In case of COVID infection, definitely CRP will be raised. It means it is suggesting there is a inflammation or infection processes there. And what is the normal level of this CRP? That is less than 0.2 milligrams per deciliter. And so it is significant if it is below 1 milligram per deciliter. After, like this can be detected after heavy exercise or common cold or pregnancy. Another one, moderate increase, that is 1 to 10 milligrams per deciliter. Usually this can be seen in bronchitis or cystitis, malignancies, pancreatitis, and myocardial infarction. Suppose if it is more than 10 milligrams, that should be considered as a marked increase is there. In case this can be seen in acute bacterial infection or major trauma and systemic vasculitis. So this can be detected by precipitation method. Okay, here we use C carbohydrate antigen. So one method is latex agglutination test. Okay, and the detection limit is 0.6 milligrams per deciliter. Another CRP test is there, that is HSCRP, that is highly sensitive CRP test also there. Usually this will be used in case of cardiovascular diseases. Okay, so here we use nephelometry method or ELISA method. Then what is acquired or adaptive immunity? So here this can be defined as a resistance against infecting foreign substance. Resistance against infecting foreign substance that an individual acquires or adapts during the course of his life. So at birth, it will not be there. After that, it will be acquired either because of natural infection or through the vaccination process. Okay, so here we need to, what are the components? Two components will be there, that is T cells and B cells. And these are the mediators of the acquired immunity. Here you can see the classical complement pathway and antigen presenting cells will be there, and cytokines, that is interleukins 2, 4, 5 are required for this. And usually this response will be delayed, in days will be there. Okay, and it requires the activation of T cells and B cells against the microbial antigens. And usually it requires prior microbial exposure. Then only this acquired immunity develops only after exposing to the microbial antigens. And this reaction is highly specific, directed against the same antigen. Suppose one person is infected with the A antigen. Okay, then only he can have antibodies to A antigen. Next time, if he gets infection with the B antigen, definitely he may not have the B antibodies for this. Okay. And next, memory cells. Memory will be present here. A portion of T cells and B cells will turn into the memory cells after primary contact of microbe. So this play an important role when microbe is encountered in the second time or subsequently. And diversity is very wide and acquired immunity through the takes time. Okay, it takes time to develop and this is active against the wide range of antigens. Another one, host cell receptors. These are very specific for the particular microbial antigen. Example, T cell receptors and B cell immunoglobulin receptors. Another one, usually this will be encoded by the genes. Okay, usually these genes produced by the somatic recombination of gene segments. Here in acquired immunity, you can see based on the classification, those are two types. One is active and passive immunity, other one artificial and natural immunity. First, let us see the active immunity. So this is a resistance produced by or developed by an individual towards an antigenic stimulus. So usually this can be induced either naturally or artificial. Natural active immunity occurs following only on exposure to the microbial infection. So it seems it is a natural infection process. This provides the natural active immunity. Other one, artificial active immunity, usually following exposure to an immunogen by vaccination process. Now all of us are taking vaccine for the COVID. So this is an artificial active immunity. Some people naturally they can get the infection, that is a natural active immunity. And this active immunity is very long lasting. Okay, and this duration varies depending on the type of the pathogen. Okay. Another one, you have to know the term that is a premonition or concomitant. It means immunity may last as long as microbe is present. Once disease is cured, definitely those may be susceptible to the particular microbe again. Okay, once syphilis is treated, definitely that person can get the infection again newly. And these people are not having the immunity against syphilis. And this active immunity may not be protective at all. Okay, one is Haemophilus ducreyi also. Okay, so patient may develop the genital lesions following the reinfection. And the other thing, primary immune response, secondary immune response is there. What is primary immune response? When antigen is exposure is there for the first time. So the following steps will take. First is latent or lag period will be there. Okay, so this active immunity develops which corresponds to the time required for the host immune apparatus to become active. So that is the latent or lag period. Here E cells, that is effector cells, are important. So majority of T cells and B cells will convert into the effector T cells and B cells after antigenic exposure. Remember, so most of the helper T cells and most of the cytotoxic T cells will convert into the effector T cells. And most of the plasma cells will convert into the effector B cells. And one more word you have to remember here, memory cells. A minor portion of T and B cells convert into the memory cells. Okay, so these are the key cells for the secondary immune response. I'll show you the diagram. Definitely you can understand very well. Okay, so in secondary immune response, there will be an antibody surge. Surge means hiking. Okay, activated B cells produces the antibodies. So antibodies appear in the serum very slowly and sluggish manner. It reaches peak and maintain a level for some time. After that will get fall down. And finally, a low titer of baseline antibodies may be maintained in the serum. If you see this diagram, so from starting to this point, it is considered as a primary immune response. So here, the person will get first time antigenic exposure. This person doesn't have any immunity against this. So for mounting the proper immune response, that is innate immunity, okay, it will take some time. This is called lag phase or latent phase. From here, these antibodies rises and maintain. After some time, these antibodies will fall down. This is called primary immune response. Here, if person is exposing to secondary and second time antigenic exposure, this is called secondary antigenic exposure. Here there is no immunity against the antigen, but few of T cells and B cells which act as a memory cells. So because of this, there will be a antibody surge. There is a peak of antibodies produced by memory cells. Okay, this will be sustained for a long time. Have you understood? Okay, all of you are sleeping?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when the secondary immune response, when the same antigenic exposure occurs subsequently, the events first is latent period and negative phase will be there, and after that antibody surge, that is IgG surge will be there. So after active immunity, passive immunity will be there. This can be defined as a resistance that is transferred passively to the host. That is a ready-made food. Ready-made food. Okay, in a ready-made form without active participation of host immune system. Usually, this passive immunity can also be induced either naturally or artificially. One is natural passive immunity. Usually, this will be transferable from mother to baby. That is a IgG antibody transfer from mother to baby. Okay, and this is across the placenta. This is the natural one. Another one, artificial passive immunity, develops following ready-made transfer of immunoglobulins. Okay, in case of rabies, in case of active disease of rabies, definitely there is a need of immunoglobulins. Okay, this will help in mounting the immune response. Okay, this is a artificial passive immunity. Then what is the role of passive immunity? Where do you give these immunoglobulins? One is immunodeficient individuals, okay, whose host immune response apparatus is not at all effective. And other one, post-exposure prophylaxis. And passive immunity develops very faster. There is no lag phase or negative phase. And there is no immunological memory as the memory cells are not involved. And booster doses are not at all needed or effective. So here there are the differences between primary and secondary immune response. In primary immune response, again as the primary antigenic challenge will be there. It is very slow and sluggish or short-lived. Lag period is very longer. There is no negative phase, and antibodies produced in the low titer, mainly IgM type. Okay, and antibodies are more specific but very less avid. Just remember, see, in case of acute phase of infection, there will be rising of IgM antibody. If IgM is there, definitely it is a acute or short phase of infection. So here it's a primary immune response. If IgG is there, definitely there is a secondary immune response. అంటే వాళ్ళకి ముందే ఎప్పుడో ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ వచ్చి ఉంటుంది and IgG already ఉంది. అర్థమైందా? And antibodies produced in the cells, that is a navy B cells. And in case of primary immune response, definitely T cell dependent and independent antigens both will be processed. Okay, in case of secondary immune response, just remember exactly opposite. Subsequent antigenic challenge will be there. And in case of primary, it is very slow and sluggish. Here, prompt and powerful. 3 P's are there. Prompt, powerful, and prolonged. Okay, long-lasting immunity will be there. So in case of primary, lag period is very longer, that is 4 to 7 days. Here, lag period is very short, that is 1 to 3 days. And there is no negative phase in primary immune response. In case of secondary immune response, there is negative phase may occur. And antibody is produced in high titer, mainly IgG type. These antibodies are very less specific but more active. And here antibody producing cells are memory B cells. Always antibodies produced by B cells. But in case of primary immune response, navy B cells will be there. In case of secondary immune response, memory B cells will be there. In secondary immune response, only T-dependent antigens are processed. Okay, and you have to know the differences between active immunity and passive immunity. Here, see, produced actively by the active immunity usually produced by the host immune system, usually following the infection or vaccination. Okay, either natural or artificial. This is very long lasting. Lag period will be there, memory cells will be there, and booster doses useful, and negative phase may occur. And in case of immunodeficiency individuals, it is not useful, as you know. Okay, any live vaccines are not useful in case of immunodeficiency individuals because they do not mount any immune response. Coming to this passive immunity, here immunoglobulins received passively, usually natural and artificial passive immunities are there. Here, it lasts for a very short period and no lag phase and no memory, subsequent doses not at all required and no negative phases. Usually, this will be helpful in immunodeficiency individuals or post-exposure prophylaxis. Okay, so there are some, see, in both of them are different pathways, but there are some bridges between innate and acquired immunity. Okay, both do not work independently and they are highly interactive, highly collaborative, and increasing the efficiency, producing the combined response. Here you can see in combined response, macrophages and dendritic cells, both of them help together. Okay, cytokines secreted from the macrophages, and these indirectly activating the T cell activation. Okay, and other one ADCC, antibody dependent cell mediated cytotoxicity. So this type of cell mediated immunity usually can be seen in innate and adaptive immunity. But these cells such as NK cells and eosinophils So this target cells coated with the specific antibodies. Okay, that is why this cells, ADCC cell shows the cytotoxic effect. And coming to these complements, this can be activated by innate and antibody mediated mechanisms. This can be activated, classical pathway can be activated by target cells, which are coated with the specific antibodies. Okay, another one, these cytokines usually secretes from the cells, innate immunity cells. Okay, and vice versa. For example, IL-1 usually secreted from the macrophage and this activates the T cells. Okay, and interferon gamma usually secreted by the T cells. This automatically activates the macrophages. So there is a combined effect. And these are the rare classes of lymphocytes. Just remember the names. And local immunity will be there, that is mucosal immunity. Here secretory immunoglobulin A, IgA, is more important. This produces the natural. This local immunity usually induced by natural infection or by live vaccination. And one more important thing, herd immunity. Okay, so it is defined as a overall immunity of a community towards a pathogen. So first take one corona infection. So all of the Tirupati people infected with the corona. So all of them having some immunity. So there is an overall immunity of a community for a pathogen. Okay, so these are the important elements to create the strong herd immunity. One is occurrence of clinical and subclinical cases in the herd, ongoing immunization program, and herd structure, and that is the type of population involved, and type of pathogen and herd immunity may not be strong in the community against all pathogens. And this herd immunity usually develops following effective vaccination. That is why all of them put into the for the effective vaccination. And these some diseases are there. For these diseases, population has the herd immunity. One is diphtheria, pertussis vaccine, MMR vaccine, polio, and smallpox. All of them having the herd immunity. Okay, all of you know this is the adaptive immunity. This is a special type of cell mediated immunity. Okay, so this is following the injection of immunologically competent T cells known as a transfer factor. Okay, useful for the treatment when CMI is very low, and especially in case of lepromatous leprosy, definitely there is a injection of transfer factor. Okay, this is a adaptive immunity. So overall, all of you have to remember how many types of immunities are there. Okay, one is innate and acquired. In case of acquired immunity, based on the classification, you can classify the natural, artificial immunity, or active and passive immunity. And one more term you have to know, what is herd immunity, which is very important in our particular situation. And coming to this innate immunity, all of you have to know this. Okay, so you have to know here. And in case of active immunity, you have to know the terms for what is primary immune response and secondary immune response. What is lag phase? What is antibody search? Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I think all of you are totally 170 people, no? Sandhya, 121 Sandhya. Somebody should speak. Uditi?
Ma'am, around 40 people failed, so they're not attending classes right now.
Okay, okay, okay. Have you understood the topic? What I taught you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, this is a bigger topic. That's why I ran so fast. All of you read today? Okay, so that you can understand. After some time, you may forget. Please read it today.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. One of you, please take your attendance and hand over to your in charge. Okay, I am closing the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.